Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Black Writer and the Southern Experience from the book In Search of a Mother's Gardens by Alice Walker. In Search of a Mother's Gardens was published in 1983 and it is a womanist prose collection composed of 36 separate pieces, all the pieces written by Alice Walker. The essays, articles, reviews, statements, and speeches were written between 1966 and 1982, and many are based on an understanding of womanist theory. Walker defines womanist at the beginning of the collection as a black feminist or feminist of color. From the black folk expression of mother to female children, and also a woman who loves other women sexually and or non-sexually, appreciates and prefers women's culture, committed to survival and wholeness of entire people, male and female. Womanist is to feminist as purple is to lavender. In addition to writing about womanhood and creativity, Walker addresses subjects such as nuclear weapons, anti Semitism, and the civil rights movement. And this essay comes in part 1. And in this essay, she discusses the trials and struggles that not only her but her family has had to endure. Walker discusses how her upbringing and her experiences early in life have shaped her into the person that she is today. She starts off her essay by explaining a story her mother always told her when she was a child. The story tells about her mother's experience trying to get flour for her family. Her aunt had sent her some clothes. So her mother changed into these fairly nice clothes before she went to the town to get the flour for the family. When she got to the distribution center, the white woman behind the counter looked her up and down with marked anger and envy. Then she said to her, "Anybody dressed up as good as you don't need to come here begging for food." The mother had to leave without getting her flour, but did feel a great deal of shame and embarrassment. Like this, she brings down many experiences which she has faced. And in this part 1, the other essays are Saving the Life That Is Your Own, the importance of models in the artist's life. The second essay is this essay, The Black Writer and the Southern Experience. Third is But Yet and Still the Cotton Gin Kept on Working. Next, A Talk Convocation 1972. Next, Beyond the Peacock, the reconstruction of Flannery O'Connor. Next, The Divided Life of Jean Toomer. Next, A Writer Because of, Not in Spite of, Her Children. Next, Gifts of Power, the writings of Rebecca Jackson. Next, Zora Neale Hudson, a cautionary tale and a partisan view. And next, Looking for Zora. And finally, we have Bash the Whites. And within these essays, she speaks about her search for early black writers such as Rebecca Jackson. She speaks of unsung heroines whom she has come into contact with who wish to tell their stories. For example, Mrs. Vincent Hudson. Hudson, the director of Head Start Center, wished to tell her story so that people would know the agitation she caused in her community was not for herself or for any one group but for everybody in the county. However, of all the writers who she introduces, Zora Neale Hudson becomes a focal part in this section of essays. As Walker begins to research the practice of voodoo by rural southern blacks in the 30s, she becomes aware of Hudson's works. Other than white anthropologists with racist views, Walker finds no one other than Hudson studied voodoo extensively. Hudson's book, Mules and Men, a collection of folklore, sparks Walker's interest immediately because it provides all the stories the southern blacks had forgotten or of which they had grown ashamed, and showed how marvelous and indeed priceless they are. In her essay, Looking for Zora, Walker speaks about a trip to Hudson's hometown house, Eatonville Villa, Florida, to discover the life of her ancestral teacher. Despite Hudson's notoriety, when she died in 1959, she was buried in an unmarked grave in a segregated cemetery. When Walker arrives in Florida, she purchases a tombstone that reads Zora Neale Hudson, a genius of the South, novelist, folklorist, anthropologist, 1901 to 1960. The line, "A Genius of the South," comes from a poem by Jean Toomer, whom Walker applauds for his sensitivity to women and his ultimate condescension towards them. Walker's exploration for the black writers of the past connects to a search for the kind of books that are underrepresented in American literature. She confirms this based on her referral to a comment by Toni Morrison. When Toni Morrison said she writes the kind of books she wants to read, she was acknowledging the fact that in a society in which accepted literature is so often sexist and racist and otherwise irrelevant or offensive to so many lives, she must do the work of too. She said she must be her own model as well as the artist, attending, creating, learning from, realizing the model, which is to say herself. Walker's search for models is an attempt to capture the voices of writers who are often overlooked and are forgotten, such as Zora Neale Hudson. And here ends this video. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you're not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.